Lily's tiny brow furrowed with worry. She had always been a perceptive child, noticing the smallest changes in the people she loved. Lately those changes had been more pronounced, especially in her grandparents. Grandma and Grandpa hadn't been themselves lately. Their smiles seemed dimmer, their laughter a little less frequent. It was as if a shadow had settled over their usually bright and cheerful faces, and Lily couldn't understand why. Lily missed their lively storytelling sessions, their warm hugs, and the way they always knew how to make her feel better. She remembered the countless evenings spent listening to Grandpa's tales of adventure and Grandma's soothing voice as she recounted stories of her own childhood. She often found them gazing out the window, a wistful look in their eyes. It made her heart ache to see them so lost in thought, so distant from the present moment. She wondered what they were thinking about, what memories or worries occupied their minds. She wished she could chase away whatever clouds were casting shadows on their usually bright faces. She tried everything she could think of to bring back their smiles, drawing pictures, telling jokes, and giving them extra hugs, but nothing seemed to work. Lily's small world revolved around her grandparents. They were her confidants, her playmates, her anchors in the sea of life. She looked up to them with admiration and love, and it pained her to see them so unlike their usual selves. The thought of them being unwell filled her with a dread she couldn't quite comprehend. It was a feeling too heavy for her little heart to bear. She didn't know how to express her fears, but she felt them deeply. She worried about what the future might hold, about the possibility of losing the people who meant the most to her. In her own way, Lily tried to be strong for them. She drew pictures of happy times, hoping to remind them of the joy they had shared. She presented her drawings with a hopeful expression, wishing that they could see the love and care she poured into each one. Sometimes she would just sit quietly beside them, holding their hands tightly, as if her small presence could offer some comfort. She didn't have the words to make everything better, but she hoped that her love could bridge the gap between their sadness and the happiness they once knew. As they looked out the window together, Lily wished for brighter days. She longed for the return of their laughter, for the warmth of their hugs, and for the stories that made her feel safe and loved. She didn't know what the future held, but she held on to hope, believing that love could heal even the deepest wounds. Grandpa's usually booming voice had softened to a whisper. He would often tire easily, his hand reaching for Grandma's for support. Grandma's gentle hands, the ones that baked the most delicious cookies, now trembled slightly. Lily noticed these changes, the subtle shifts in their demeanor, the way their eyes seemed to hold a hint of pain. It scared her. She didn't understand what was happening, but she knew it wasn't good. The vibrant hues of her world seemed to dull a little. The playful banter, the shared laughter, the comforting silence. Everything felt shrouded in a veil of worry. Lily yearned for the days when Grandpa's laughter lines deepened with every shared joke, and Grandma's eyes sparkled with mischief. That night, Lily knelt beside her bed, her tiny hands clasped together. She closed her eyes, her heart heavy with unspoken fear and worry. "Please, God," she whispered, her voice barely audible, "please make Grandma and Grandpa okay again. I don't like seeing them so sad." Tears welled up in her eyes, threatening to spill over. "They're the best grandparents in the whole wide world, and I love them so much." Her small voice, filled with an innocence that was both heartbreaking and hopeful, rose in the quiet of the night. It was a simple prayer, devoid of any complex theological arguments, yet filled with the raw, unfiltered emotions of a child's pure love. Lily thought back to all the wonderful moments she had shared with her grandparents. The bedtime stories, the secret recipes whispered in hushed tones, the way they always knew how to make her laugh. She remembered the countless hours spent in their garden, helping them water the plants, listening to their stories about each flower and herb. The world seemed magical when they were around. Each memory, etched in her mind, served as a testament to the profound bond they shared. These weren't just fleeting moments, they were the building blocks of her childhood, the foundation upon which her love for them grew stronger with each passing day. Lily's love for her grandparents was as vast and endless as the sky above. It was a love that knew no bounds, a love that transcended age and time. She loved their wrinkled faces, their gentle voices, their warm embraces. To her, they were perfect, their flaws only adding to their charm. The thought of losing them, of their light dimming from her life, was unbearable. It was a fear that gnawed at her insides, a fear she couldn't quite articulate but felt deeply, nonetheless. "Please God," she whispered again, her voice thick with emotion. "I promise to be good. I'll eat all my vegetables and tidy my room. I'll even share my toys with Billy." She squeezed her eyes shut, her small body trembling with the intensity of her emotions. In her innocent heart, she believed that her good deeds could somehow influence the grand scheme of things, that her promises could sway fate in their favor. It was a silent bargain she was making, a heartfelt plea born out of love and desperation. She was willing to give up anything, to sacrifice everything, if it meant having her grandparents healthy and happy again. As she drifted off to sleep, a sense of calm washed over her. She imagined a pair of gentle eyes looking down at her, filled with love and reassurance. Maybe, just maybe, her prayer had been heard. Maybe, somewhere beyond the realm of her understanding, a force greater than herself was listening, offering comfort and solace. The fear didn't vanish entirely, but it no longer felt insurmountable. It was replaced by a glimmer of hope, a belief that they were not alone, that a watchful gaze was upon them, guarding them from harm. The following morning, Lily woke up with a renewed sense of hope. She ran to her grandparents' room, her heart pounding with anticipation. As she looked at their faces, she noticed a subtle shift. Their smiles seemed a little brighter, their eyes a little less clouded. Maybe it was just wishful thinking, maybe it was the power of her unwavering faith. But in that moment, Lily felt a surge of hope course through her. The fear hadn't vanished entirely, but it no longer held her captive. She knew deep in her heart that love, faith, and hope had a way of making even the toughest of times a little brighter.